Hey, it's Michael, and this is the Kintsugi Podcast. I'll be back in a minute with this week's conversation about resilience. But first, if you wish to create a better life and have a better career, then please visit michaelobrienshift.com and download your free workbook on how to create a better life. In it, you'll discover ways to find more energy for the things and the people who matter most to you, so you can create a better tomorrow. Hey there, it's Michael, and welcome back or welcome to the Kintsugi Podcast. It's time for another conversation about resilience. Today, we're going to talk about the value in letting go of your banana, but first, I want to bring you back a few days. It was International Women's Day a few weeks ago. Of course, it's Women's History Month, all this month of March, and I had the honor of moderating an International Women's Day panel. Exceptional leaders on this panel, plus a wonderful keynote. I'll talk more about that in a second. And we covered it all. It was only about an hour, but we covered a lot of topics that many leaders face, like self-doubt, building your Peloton. As you know, a Peloton is a group of cyclists in a bike race, and it's my analogy or metaphor for your personal board of directors. We all need to be riding with people who bring out the best in us. A Peloton, say in the Tour de France, they're all on different teams, but they need each other. And so we can be on different teams, but we still need each other. So we talked about building a vibrant, I got your back kind of Peloton. We talked also about what leadership essentials, what leadership competencies are needed to create the better tomorrow that we all want to create a better normal. Core to the event, core to the International Women's Day, was the whole theme of choose to challenge. So where have you had a moment where you chose to challenge the status quo or choose to challenge going forward to create that better future? I think that we all thirst for, at least many people thirst for. We also talked about the currencies of the future. Things like resilience, which is all Kintsugi, right? The ability to love our scars, our blemishes, our wrinkles, our gray hairs, the ability to get back up after we've fallen down, all that. We also talked about agility and adaptability. So here's my take on resilience, agility, and adaptability, because I do believe those three competencies, currencies for the future, if you will, are so vital for us to be able to create a better tomorrow. To me, resilience is about the faith to rise up, if you will, and keep pedaling. I had to weave a little bit of cycling into that definition. Agility, to me and to a whole host of leaders I've spoken to, is the ability to be fluid moment to moment, sort of meet the moment as the moment wants to be met. Agility with our tools, our practices, our procedures, all that jazz. And of course, there's adaptability, which is the quality of accepting change. As opposed to arguing with reality, with adaptability, we can be present and accept the change, even if we don't like it. But that node of acceptance allows us to have some agility in the moment and then take that action that the moment calls for. Now, of course, these definitions are not Webster's definitions. If you went to the dictionary, they're not defined this way. But as I mentioned just a second ago, through countless leadership interviews, through the panelists that I was able to moderate a few weeks ago, and a little bit of my own spice thrown in there for good measure, that's how I view resilience, agility, and adaptability. And here's the thing about all three. They all require having the ability to let go of our attachment to certain worldviews, our self-narratives, hello self-doubt, processes, outcomes. Sometimes we get so hooked up, so charged up, we lock on to a particular worldview and we can't see anything else. It's almost like we have blinders on. Or we believe the self-narrative that we've had since we were younger. We can't let that go. So this whole concept of attachment came up for me a couple weeks ago as I was speaking with my meditation teacher, and she shared a story that our master teacher, I'm a student of John Kabat-Zinn's practice, mindfulness-based stress reduction. John brought a lot of Eastern philosophies to the West way back in the 70s, sort of the father of mindfulness in the States. At least that's how some people consider him. Well, the story he shared and the story my direct meditation teacher shared with me is, I guess, in Asia, I don't know this to be certain, but this is how the story goes. They trap monkeys, which for me was disturbing in its own right, but you can stay with me, hopefully, because there's value in this story. Well, they trap monkeys by putting a banana in a container, sometimes a dried coconut, maybe sometimes like a box. In my blog post this week, I got a cardboard box as a way to illustrate this. And what they do is they cut a slit in the coconut or the container, and it's just wide enough for the monkey to get its hand in it and grab onto the banana. But when you grab onto something, you make a fist. Your fist gets clenched. So when they clench their fist to grab onto the banana and they try to pull it out, the slit that they cut isn't wide enough. But here's the thing with the monkey, because they don't necessarily have enough mindfulness. They get so attached to grabbing that banana, getting that banana, they struggle and struggle and struggle, and they don't want to let it go. And meanwhile, they're just like pulling at it, pulling at it, pulling at it, and they could just escape if they just eased up on their grip and dropped the banana. So what ends up happening is, because they don't let go of their banana, they get captured. So here's the meaning of the story. How often do we act like that monkey who just grabs onto their banana and doesn't want to let it go? How often do we hold on? We have so much attachment to a certain worldview that the world should be this way, or how things are done, or it's got to be this outcome, or those self-narratives that we've had that we're not enough, or maybe we're too much, or whatever. Those self-narratives that hold us back. Because if we can't let go of the banana, if we can't let go of our attachment, then it makes it very difficult to rise up and keep pedaling. It's difficult to be resilient. It's difficult to embrace the Kintsugi spirit that we all have wrinkles and scars and blemishes, and that's part of our beauty. Well, heck, that is our beauty. It's hard to be agile, have agility, have the fluidity from moment to moment if we grab on to this notion that there's one way of doing things. And certainly we cannot adapt to change if we are locked onto how it used to be. That's the way we've always done it, which are some very expensive words that are spoken in every corporate environment across this wonderful planet of ours. So how often do we clench on to our banana? Well, I think we do it all the time, quite often, perhaps every day. We try to control everything along our journey instead of just being present and letting it flow. Now, I'll be the first to say it's good to have goals. It's good to know where we want to head on this wonderful bike ride called life. It's good to have that vision. But sometimes the best way to have a great bike ride is to ease up on the handlebars. Don't grab them with a death grip. We don't have to white knuckle this ride called life. We can let it flow a bit. And when we do, when we ease up on our grip, we can pull our hand out and we can have more resilience. We can have more agility and adaptability. We can be in the moment. And that's where our magic happens, in the moment, because that's all we have. So that's a little story for today, this week on the Kintsugi Podcast. Let go of your banana. Ease up on your grip. Life is something that you can't control. I know that firsthand. A little aside story here. When I was hit that morning on July 11th, my last bad day, when I regained consciousness, what I told myself was, stay awake, Michael. And the reason why I wanted to stay awake, I didn't want to lose consciousness again, is that I thought I could control the situation if I was awake. It sounds crazy now, but that's basically what I was trying to do, because I was trying to control every element of my life. And to be honest, not doing a great job at it up until my near-death cycling accident, my last bad day. When I let it go and put faith in those around me, when I put more faith in the process, you've heard people say, trust the process. So yes, still a big believer in goals, still a big believer in having boundaries and values and having a framework on how we want to live our lives. But that framework should be flexible. When it's flexible, then we ease up on that attachment. We drop our banana, and now we can be more resilient, have more agility and more adaptability. 3 key currencies, 3 key leadership qualities that we're going to need more of as we create a better tomorrow. So as always, thanks for listening to the Kintsugi Podcast. I hope you'll share this with someone in your Peloton. I also hope that you'll put a comment there, subscribe, all that jazz. I always love hearing from you. You can leave me a question at thekintsugipodcast.com or my other website, which is michaelobrienshift.com, and a couple other notes. If you're on Clubhouse, I hope you'll follow me. It's simply at Michael O'Brien. I've also started a new Pause, Breathe, Reflect Club. We have 4 5-minute meditation segments throughout the day, a perfect way to jump off your hamster wheel and just sort of drop into some calm for 5 minutes to empty your backpack and renew your energy. So if you follow the club, you'll get notifications on when those 5-minute sessions are happening. And I hope you'll join some of the conversations that we have throughout the week. We have some other rooms as well. I'll share more about that as we go forward. If you need an invite to Clubhouse, just let me know. Happy to share it with you if you're on an iOS device, because right now it's limited to that. So until next week, in our next conversation about resilience on the Kintsugi Podcast, remember to pause, breathe, and reflect so you can drop your banana and become more resilient, find your agility and adaptability, and of course, have fun storming the castle. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.